Hello, everybody out there in hockey land. We're back for another episode of Five for Talking, where you get 5 minutes in the sin bin for talking. I'm here with the captain of the show, the captain of the chirps, Corporal Caps, and it's me, the other guy. Today, we're going to be talking about NHL for this episode. There will be a Leafs episode, so look for that on the channel. And we're just going to jump right into this with, I think we should start with MVP discussion.
I think so too.
I think it's actually an important topic, and I do think that there's a lot of options out there um, to choose from. So you said, tell us who you said. The big there's big talks about four guys.
I mean, right off the bat, four guys: McKinnon, Kucherov, McDavid, and Matthews to a certain extent. Maybe more so a week ago or a couple weeks ago. I have my pick. My pick is McKinnon. I think he, at this point this year, is more valuable to his team than any of those other guys. I think he's having a career year. Like this is, you know, um, an unbelievable year for him. He's what over 120 points. Um, you know, you can definitely make an argument for all those other guys. You know, you have McDavid who's closing in on 100 assists this year. Something hasn't been seen in a long time. You got Matthews who's trying to make a run for 70 goals, but honestly, at this point, I don't think that's probably not going to happen. And even if he did get to 70 goals, I don't think he really deserves the MVP this year, in my opinion. But uh, to me, I think the guy that deserves it the most is McKinnon. Kucherov, he is the leader in points as of right now, but to me, I still think that in terms of value to his team or the most valuable to his team, I think McKinnon is the top runner because honestly, and you could probably make an argument with some of those other guys, but if McKinnon wasn't there in Colorado, those guys would be nowhere. I mean, they do have McCarr, but McKinnon is a whole other level of talent.
I mean,
But
in fairness, to argue against your point before I even mention anybody else, like I just think there should be an argument made for other people. I don't really disagree with what you're saying. Um, but in just the fairness of the argument, Rantanen also is about to pass 100 points. I'm pretty sure at this point of filming the video, he has 39 goals. So I think plus Makar and those other pieces, it's yes, McKinnon probably should win, but I think there's an argument you can make against it. Like, and with the Leafs, yeah, you have Nylander, but other than that, I don't think there's much else for the Leafs. For me, my argument would be for Kucherov. The Tampa Bay Lightning aren't even making the playoffs without Kucherov. He's leading the league in points right now. He has 124 today as of filming. He has 42 goals, and he's playing over 20 minutes a game. Without him, they're not making the playoffs. I think if you take McKinnon off Colorado, they're still a playoff team. Um, I mean, that doesn't really knock down your argument. I just think there is an argument to be made for Kucherov. I think of all the top people, McDavid is the one you can't make an argument for because Edmonton is not that good. And I don't think they're that much worse without him. Obviously, he's the best player in the NHL. Let's not pretend like he's not. But I feel like Edmonton would still be a playoff team without Connor McDavid, maybe like somewhere in the bottom. But it's not like they had a great season to begin with, even with him doing what he's doing. Um, they're fine. But I think you can pull an outside argument for Panarin because he's got over 100 points. He's about to have the best season of his career. New York Rangers are in first place in the NHL. They're probably going to take home the President's Trophy. So, I mean, there's that. And then also, Boston Bruins are tied for, I think, second place in the NHL. Or, sorry, in the Eastern Conference in overall. Sorry, my bad. I misspoke. They are. They're tied for second with Carolina in the East, which is a couple points behind the Rangers. And Pasternak is easily the best player on that team. If you take Pasternak on that team, I struggle to name someone named not named Brad Marchand.
Yeah, I mean, like I love the argument and I love the discussion. I mean, you make some valid points. Um, going back to the Edmonton thing, like you have a couple guys that are, I mean, Hyman's having a career year. It's like he just scored 50 goals. And who would have thought that would have happened? Draisaitl's Draisaitl. I mean, it is what it is. But I don't know, man. Like without McDavid, man, that team, I don't know if Hyman gets the 50 goals. I don't know if Draisaitl
Draisaitl
has the
doesn't even
points.
play with him, so
On the power
do
play, they do.
I agree, but
But
I think on a
yeah,
power play, Draisaitl would shine on his own. Not to take away from McDavid, I just think as far as looking at the standings, your argument for McKinnon outweighs any argument anyone's going to make to me about McDavid.
yeah. Like there are a lot of scoring's up. I mean, let's face facts. Scoring is up, and you have a lot of guys that are having career years. Um, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to argue against your point. I think you make some solid points there. It'll be interesting to see who they pick. Um, but
I think it's
let's
going to be
let's see what
McKinnon or
happens.
Kucherov. I don't think anyone else has a shot unless
Yeah,
somehow Matthews scores 70 goals and the Leafs win the rest of the season.
yeah. I mean, he's got what 10 games to do it now. I think at this
Yeah,
point.
The Leafs would need to
Um,
win all the rest of the games for the season. They
and he's got
have
11 goals to go.
10 games. Yeah, he needs to score 11 goals in 10 games, and the Leafs need to win all 10, or else I don't think he has a shot at winning
But
MVP.
like I don't know, man. Like even if he would have scored 75, he's got like what he would have had like at that point like 30 assists. I don't know if it's worthy of an MVP discussion for him because you got a guy who's setting up everything, most of his goals anyway. But yes, you have to finish, but at the same time, I don't know. I just find it hard to believe
But
that.
this is a good argument to make.
Sure.
In the same way that you say Zach Hyman he has 51 goals right now today.
Oh,
Um,
really?
so Zach Hyman's 51 goals are all created by someone else.
Oh, definitely.
Matthews could score 60 goals without having someone to create for him. And
Yeah,
I
I remember seeing that message. I remember seeing that message when you sent me that. Was it maybe a week ago? Um, he has a bit of a dip. He's been in a bit of a
Yeah,
dip as of late.
it's in this
Um,
modern day of
but
NHL, scoring that many goals is hard, right? It's not like the old days where I'll score 6 goals tonight and I'll score one tomorrow, then I'll miss a game, then I'll score 7 the next night.
yeah, yeah. It's an interesting topic. I mean, it would have been even more impressive if he's had the same amount of assists.
I mean, fair enough.
But
That's a good
it's,
point. But I mean, it's not like he's slacking off in the points category, right?
no,
He's
no,
having a
no,
pretty good
definitely.
season.
He's
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 probably
he's
going to hit
first place
100.
right now. He's first place right now on the team for points, tied with Nylander. Um, I mean, if you're gonna actually look at it, I probably would say that Nylander is probably more impressive than Matthews for this year, just simply on the fact that Nylander's taken
Fair.
another step, with the exception of the back checking. But in
Look,
terms of production, I mean, he's done a fabulous job with that.
we know that there's McKinnon, Rantanen, and McCarr. There's other pieces on that team, right? And like just I think I'll let you get all your last word in, and then we'll end that. But then you have McDavid, you have 50 goals from Hyman, you have Draisaitl. Though these guys are all like in the top of categories. The Leafs
Yep,
have Nylander and Matthews back to back tied for 8th spot in points. Then they do have Marner on the list with 70 something, and Tavares is not having that bad of a year. I believe he's somewhere close to a point a game.
he's picked it up again. Yeah,
Kucherov has 124 points right now. Braden Point is 15th with 81 points. There's no one else in the top 30 on Tampa Bay in points. And there's nobody at all in the goals for them except Kucherov. So I feel like if your argument, it's like, I think there's a good chance Kucherov could win. But I do think the
Oh, definitely.
favoritism of it, let's be honest, of having a good old Canadian guy win is probably going to win out in the end.
Now we should take
Uh,
some bets.
but I mean, like Boston has nobody except Pasternak, I believe, in the top for points in the top 30, 25 or whatever it is, top 30.
Yeah. I don't even know if Marchand's having.
Marchand is having a pretty good year, but it's like he's in the low 70s. I think he has like 70 points or
Oh,
72
so he's still
points, something like
productive at
that.
this point. It'd be interesting to see I haven't seen how Stamkos is doing. Um, I don't
I
know if
mean,
he
I can
missed a
tell
lot
you
of
if you want to
time.
know.
Sure, but it'll be interesting to see who they pick for MVP. You know, we should you know definitely get some people out there, whoever's watching, to comment on who they think is going to be the MVP. Because honestly, there's quite a few people to choose from,
Stamkos
and
has 65 points,
wow, that's pretty. This is a down year for him.
29
Um,
goals.
yeah. Well, we can probably just end it there,
Oh,
I
you know
guess.
what? Braden Point has the same amount of points, same amount of goals as Kucherov. I must have just scrolled by him on the list. They both have 42. Anyways, I love Braden Point, so
I love
we
Brandon
know
Point
when it
too.
comes to playoff time, sweet baby Kucherov is, Point is going to step up. So okay, let's get off MVP. Um, so let's talk about some significant trades that happened at the deadline and where we are now with that. And then I think we'll end this episode off with just brushing through the general right now of the standings. So just like for me, there was a few big movers and shakers throughout the entire deadline.
Where are
We
we
picked
starting
what
off
we
from?
thought were the biggest one. So we'll start at the bottom here with the what do you have? Edmonton and the Ducks. It should be like a
Okay, so I have.
go. You tell me which one you have, and we'll go with
Okay,
that.
so we'll start off with Edmonton and the Ducks. Um, I like this move. Obviously, Edmonton does need wingers. I would have preferred some defense, but I guess they felt otherwise. Henrique, I like that move. Some added depth. Um,
Sam Carrick is a decent up the middle depth and center. I think that's a really good move too.
uh, I mean, a lot of depth moves with the exception of a few teams, but a good move for Edmonton. I thought it was a good pickup.
I think a lot of teams sold really low this year. Um, yeah, you can make the argument of like, oh, the Leafs overpaid for those guys, whatever, because they got a bunch of picks. But like, there's a lot of teams that in this got like one pick and gave up like multiple players. Um,
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that
yeah,
because
we will. I think Ottawa did a good job loading up on picks. We'll see how they do with that. Tarasenko went to the Panthers. I don't. He has, I think, only one goal the entire time he's been there. Don't quote me on that, but I can almost say it's somewhere in that zone of lowageness.
yep,
Also, I think Colorado had a great move dumping Sean Walker and I mean dumping Ryan Johansson. Sorry, and getting back a pick and Sean Walker just for a conditional first. I mean, they're probably gonna have to give that up, but in the end, that helps them out big time.
yep.
So I'm gonna move on to the next thing, unless you have anything you want to talk about there.
No, go for it, man.
Noah Haffinen going to the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights are pretty close to, I would say, being the best deadline team. It's
Yeah,
got to be
those.
between them, Winnipeg, and like I would have said Florida and Carolina, but I don't think Florida's doing very well. So
I mean, with the exception of another trade, this was a monster trade for the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, they pulled a horseshoe out of there. You know what?
they're cheaters, man.
Um,
They're straight up cheaters. So let's just
Straight
be
up, man.
honest.
Straight up. Like, with these moves, it's likely that it's a strong possibility that they repeat. It's like you can't talk about circumventing the salary cap, but at the same time, it's legal.
We'll
Um,
save the Leaf talk for the Leaf episode.
sure,
Anthony Duclair picked up by Tampa
great
Bay.
pickup.
I really wanted the Leafs to get Duclair, and they didn't give up much to get him, which is kind of upsetting. So, I mean,
It's a
good
great
on.
pickup.
Yeah, Tampa Bay made I think three really good pickups on the day. Carolina got Jake Gensel and Ty Smith, who's like a high potential defenseman for Bunting, Kolvanen, Pomerev, Lucius, and a first and a fifth, which I think that's absolutely insane.
Carolina's getting ready. You got this trade and the next trade you're going to talk about, which puts Carolina in a you know in a conversation where they can make a run. Uh, it's
Well, I will
these
talk
are.
about it. Evgeny Kuznetsov for a third round pick.
I mean,
And they
Kuznetsov
retain.
is slow, but he can still play.
They retained 50% of the salary.
Yeah,
Um, Tyler Toffoli to Winnipeg, that was a banger trade
monster trade,
for absolute
monster.
peanuts on the
That was
dollar.
that was one of my favorites.
And they retained 50%.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
Kyle Okaposo to Florida Panthers, I thought was a really good move to bring in a guy with that much experience and leadership. He's the
Yep,
captain of Buffalo and have him on your fourth line. I thought that was a great move.
yep.
I mean, Florida doing whatever they're doing is questionable. Um, Matt Dumba to the Lightning.
Decent.
I think for a fifth round pick, Matt Dumba is a steal.
Yeah.
An
Yeah.
absolute steal. I would have gave a fucking first round pick, excuse my language, for Matt Dumba.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. I
Okay.
would have traded Morgan Riley for Matt Dumba. But we all know that I hate Morgan Riley. So, anyways, I think Winnipeg scored again here. Colin Miller for a fourth round pick. Colin Miller's a great defenseman. I think this trade has got to be like maybe the best trade of the day. Tomas Hertl, a third round pick, and another third round pick for a first, and David Edstrom.
It is so crazy because I was watching the trade deadline day. I was watching it, and it's like, okay, the hour's up, and I was about to leave, and all of a sudden, the Thomas Hurdle trade just gets announced, and everybody on the panel was like, "Mother fudges!" Like these guys did it again, like pulled another horseshoe out of their ass. Just like it's a monster trade. I mean, he was injured at the time, but once they activated everyone for the playoffs, my God, they're going to be dangerous.
Well, right
In
now
my
they finally, after the trade deadline finished, they've started clicking their 7-2-1 as of filming today. Today is Friday, Good Friday.
but I don't think they can activate everyone because they'd be over the cap, right? They'll be
They have to wait
way
till the
over the cap.
they have to wait until the playoffs start.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's insane what they were able to
But
pull
there's
off.
actually like an investigation going on because it's Matt Stone again and conveniently is injured just perfectly till the first week of playoffs.
Now let's see what they can
And
find.
a
I
lot
don't
of
think
people are
it's gonna
saying that
go.
he's
I really don't think it's gonna go anywhere. But
yeah, I don't
let's see
think
what they
so.
can find.
But a lot
Yeah,
of people are saying that this is just him taking one for the team because they already know they're going to make the playoffs,
yeah.
and the
They just had
doctors are
like the
fudging
GM
it.
meetings like a week ago, talking about circumventing the cap or making some changes. Let's see where that goes. But at the same time, it's like right now it's legal. Like it's
Listen,
Tampa Bay has been doing it.
Tampa
Yeah,
Bay started this nonsense, and
yeah.
Vegas learned how to do it better.
Toronto did it a couple of times. Let's be honest. Uh, I know there's another team that did it, but hey, some teams have done it, man.
Okay, well, let's end on this here. We'll talk about a couple teams. We'll get it out of the way. Dallas Stars are doing very well right now. They're shooting
Joe,
our last tier list in the foot, at least from your end. But Man, I just don't know. In terms of standings, just the one thing: San Jose Sharks are dead last right now. They lost 9 in a row. If Chicago gets the first round pick again, I don't believe in the NHL anymore. Like,
Yeah.
it's because like San Jose and Anaheim are there again at the bottom, and then Chicago was going to steal another first round pick. Like, I don't know, man. It's weird that two low market teams aren't getting it, but the big market team will. And the Coyotes completely fell off. What happened to the Coyotes? They were like having a really good year. Do you
Well,
think they're
I mean, it was
tanking?
like midway through the season where things just fell off the rails. Like it's just um,
I mean, they did make deadline moves.
but at the same time, teams that were saying that were going to be good at the beginning of the season started to get their shit together.
I think our
So they started playing
general
better.
grouping is still exists.
Yeah, it's pretty much there, with the exception of a couple teams. But yeah, it's pretty much the same with both tier lists that we did. Probably going to make a couple changes in the next one, but ultimately, it's pretty much going to be the same, I think.
Well, I think we went Florida or the Rangers, and Colorado was like our three that we were really feeling, and that still seems like that's what it's going to be. With two of those teams, at least the Rangers and Colorado. Um,
Mhm.
Florida's been
I've
stinking it up.
always, I've always fought against Boston. I really don't think. I think a lot of teams are going to turn it up, and I really don't think Boston is as good as everybody thinks they are.
I'm not going to argue that,
I,
and I think
I thought that way last year, and I picked Florida to beat them. So hey,
Florida sucks right now. They lost, I think, 2 in a row today. They're 3-6-1 in the last 10. Winnipeg also has lost 5 in a row. Those are both concerning for me because those are both very similarly built teams that have one or two really high end guys, and then the rest of the team is like all evenly spread out defensive, like two-way players. Like they're both physical teams. They're both good in the defensive end. They both have good goalies.
well, they got about 10 games to get their shit together because
I mean, they're
playoffs are right
both going
around
to
the
make the
corner.
playoffs.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Uh,
I mean, at that point, like even in the next couple of weeks, they're going to start resting players, um, just to get them rested for the playoffs. So,
so I
um, you know,
go. Sorry.
no, that was pretty much my point. Um,
Okay,
yeah.
so I have well, I'll say this is like basically a question. So I wanted to know in the East, like what team you think could sneak in because Detroit, the Islanders, and the Devils are all pretty close. Even the Penguins are kind of close. Even the Sabres, but like I don't think the Penguins or the Sabres have a shot. I don't even think the Devils really do. I'd say it's going to be between the Islanders and the Wings, and if the Capitals can keep it together or not.
Well,
Um,
if you would have asked me this a week ago, I would have said Washington because they were out of the playoffs and they just squeaked in like not too long ago.
but here's where I want to go with this. So let's say you got Washington here because Tampa Bay is going to be in. You got Washington, Detroit, the Islanders, I think, fighting for the last spot. Do you think because of the way they've been playing that the team that drops out for one of those teams to get in is Philadelphia? Because Philadelphia is only 2 or 3 points ahead of Detroit right now, and they are not playing good in the last 20 games.
But okay,
Because Washington will fill that spot in the conference or the division box.
but I don't think Detroit can take Philadelphia's spot
But Detroit can
because
take Washington's spot, and Washington can take Philadelphia's spot. Washington can fill Philadelphia's spot in the divisional box.
yes.
Okay, then now Philadelphia falls all the way out of the playoffs, and either the Red Wings or the Islanders get in that last spot,
Mm.
is what I'm saying. Do you think it's Washington will fall out for one of those two teams if it happens, or is it going to be Philadelphia that falls out?
I don't think Philadelphia falls out.
No.
Um, I'm gonna go ahead and say what you're seeing right now are the teams that are gonna make it into the playoffs.
Okay, that's
That's what I
fair.
think
Last
because
question. Go,
New York
go.
Islanders have taken a bit of a dip. I think it's a little too late for for the Devils, even though they're playing well. And Detroit's on a 3-game losing streak. So honestly, I think, in my opinion, what you're seeing right now are the teams that are going to make it into the playoffs.
All right. This is the last one thing I have about this, and then we're ending this episode. Going to the Western Conference, the Vancouver Canucks have lost Thatcher Demko, who was in the running for Vezina. I believe he was top 3 when he got injured. He's most likely done for the season unless they make it really deep into the playoffs. Is it over for them?
I don't think so.
But are they even remotely a contender still without their number one goalie?
Well, sorry, did you? When is he returning? Is he out for the season
He
or
might
no?
be
He's
out
not.
for the remainder of the season. He's on long-term injury reserve right now.
Mm. Um. Okay, if they lose him, yeah, that they're in trouble. Um.
There's no like official timetable yet, though.
Or are they resting him for the
Oh
playoff?
my gosh, is that what's happening? They're gonna sign Jeremy Roenick. They're gonna bring back Trevor Linden and Pavel Bure.
Get Marcus Naslund and
Oh, just bring them all back.
Bertuzzi. Um, if he's gone, yeah, they're pretty much in trouble. But that's a tough one. What do you think?
I think if they don't have him, they're a first round exit in the playoffs.
And they would face
LA, I think.
LA.
And LA is a tough team. They will beat you up.
LA LA has been up and down this year though.
That's fair. I don't think they'll win the cup. But I
Yeah,
think when you don't have your starting goalie and you're facing a beat you up team, it's going to be a tough run into playoffs.
definitely,
All right. Do you have anything
definitely,
else?
definitely. I will say this:
hmm
Nashville's been a surprise.
Yeah, Nashville's been great. You want to talk about Nashville?
I mean, no, I just want to say that
They made some smart little moves.
they made some smart little moves. I think they have one of the best goalies in the league, Saros. And if we're going to talk about the Vesna conversation, I would put
Oh, he's
probably
in there.
Saros and Hellebuck.
Hellebuck.
Um, but yeah, I think those guys are the front runners.
No, that's absolutely fair. All right. I'm done, guys. Thank you for watching. Let us know what you think who should win MVP and look out for the Leafs episode, which might come out before this. I don't know.